Greetings, minion. It is I, Dave Makes Noises, the CL4P TP steward bot of Dungeons & Dragons Storytime on YouTube. We're going to talk about all sorts of villains, but before we do that, I must implore you to please check out our new sibling channel, Riptovia, where we've begun sharing longer stories that wouldn't fit in a video on this channel. The link is in the description, and it would mean the world to Rip Daddy and friends, that includes me, if you could go tune in. And with that, we ask the internet, who is the most evil character you've played in D&D, either as a player or a DM, and did you enjoy playing as this character? Part 2. As a general rule, for religious reasons, my friends and I have a no evil characters policy. Agree with it, disagree with it, I don't care. That's our personal rule that works for us, and I ask that you respect if you decide to comment. The point is, we make a small sacrifice in roleplay so that we can feel comfortable playing the game. That being said, we played a Star Wars campaign once. This isn't D&D, of course, but this is the one time I decided to play a semi-evil character, and I got away with it in the group, too. The rules we were using were from Rises, a simple RPG system you can use to play virtually any campaign you wanted. I decided that I wanted to play as a hyper-intelligent Jawa named Nug Nug, MD, with a Stewie voice, who had a racial prejudice against other Jawas and was planning on building his own empire by starting his own mining consortium in an arm of the galaxy that was once Empire-controlled but has since been forgotten by the Resistance and First Order factions, which, at this point in time, were starting to become major players. So, set between the original and sequel trilogies. My character's cliches, their abilities in the game defined by wide parameters. For instance, if you had the swashbuckler cliche, then you could do anything that a swashbuckler could do, such as swing from a chandelier or fence while laughing gaily. We're mining PhD, tech savvy, and fashionista. Since he's racist against Jawas, Brown is out. Nug Nug MD and friends, who joined him for other reasons, but he believes are his underlings that he will use to create his empire, discover what may possibly be a hidden cache of goodies that were left behind during a turf war near a very powerful dwarf star. We are aware that this abandoned mining station has one very specific hazard. The solar radiation fries all power systems that aren't protected by deflectors. So this mission was a dangerous one, and we didn't have the proper equipment to get to the station, let alone take all the booty that we might find there. So since the party was a small mercenary group, we asked for the assistance of Clan Bream, with whom we are semi-contracted to, with, of course, the promise of a fair cut of the spoils. They send a fully manned Mon Calamari star cruiser to the base we're at, and pretty soon we're on our way, using our own ships, models from Star Wars X-Wing for aesthetic purposes, alongside the Mon Calamari cruiser. While inside our own ship, another character, a Twi'lek, and I start discussing privately, but in character and within earshot of the GM, about what we wanted to do. Nug Nug MD made a logical deduction. Why just stop at the spoils of the abandoned mining station when we have an entire Mon Calamari vessel we could commandeer? It would be a massive jumpstart to our empire. So I developed a virus on my Star Wars equivalent of an iPad/tablet that would give me root access to the Star Cruiser. What I didn't know at the time was that there were two factions aboard this vessel that everyone was unaware of, and my actions set off a huge series of events that turned it from a one-session bonus mission into an adventure that lasted nearly 6 months of sessions. What was my plan? To vent the entire ship of atmosphere and take the cruiser for ourselves. Except it wasn't. We stealthily planted the virus thanks to our Gamorrean friend, who was a barbarian/silent assassin/connoisseur who ate everything it could and utterly ruined every bathroom afterwards. And returned to our ships. 10 minutes before the ship was about to silently auto-vent, an unsuspecting member of our team, a Mon Calamari politician who wanted to go on his own adventure because he didn't know what a hive of scum and villainy looked like despite working in one, docked with the Star Cruiser to look for us. By now the player knew what we were doing and out of nowhere decided to do something crazy. We all laughed hysterically, and he undocked about a minute before the purge. So, anyway, the time came for the ship to vent, but sensors indicated that only half of the rooms successfully did so. It turns out that there was an intelligence in the computer systems, IG-89, a copy of the IG-88 droid. An interesting fact is that IG-89 was a previous player's character who went off and did his own thing and We never heard from him again until now. The AI detected the virus and let it vent half of the ship, electing to minimize damage and control it based on what would benefit him the most. He was also aware of another faction on the ship, a splinter faction of Black Sun, who were planning on taking over the ship, as well as our horde of booty. The ensuing battle was incredibly deadly, as surviving Bream soldiers tried to regain control of the situation, whom we sided with and blamed the venting on one of the other factions. We fought with rogue protocol droids and four-armed droids based off General Grievous, as well as Black Sun agents pretending to be Bream. We fight our way to the control tower, and Nug Nug tries to threaten IG-89. The droid doesn't believe me, so I say, okay, and then press another button on my iPad/tablet. I tell the GM, I deactivate the deflectors. Since I have root access, I am able to do this. The GM agreed, and the droid screamed, "No!" before the signal is cut out and all electronics fry. Our ship is dead, but inertia is going to cause us to crash into the asteroid mine, so characters manually pilot it by turning emergency valves and firing thrusters manually. We crash land inside the hangar and are now stranded with some droids who managed to survive in a Faraday cage-like room, including IG-89, who transferred his consciousness to another droid in the nick of time, and the Black Sun thugs we now held hostage. Lots of characters are injured. The station is without power. We are running out of air. The evil actions I alone took caused this mess. The rest of what was supposed to be a short adventure took longer, and are hardly worth mentioning in the context of this question. If you'd like to hear more, I'll have to throw the story up on my blog and leave a link in later. It was quite a fun story. The point is, the most evil thing I've done in a tabletop RPG is vent a whole ship of innocent, allied people because I wanted the ship for my empire, and it would have worked too if it had not been for the droids that are now added to Nug Nug MD's list of things he is racist against. Incidentally, this is also one of my favorite player character moments I've ever roleplayed. Among the most evil characters I've played, a rogue assassin who liked the other party members for metagame reasons, so he never did anything against them, but the party had to watch what they said or their problems might start solving themselves. A case where our cleric was getting harassed by a drunk bar patron. She said she wished he was dead. He was dead a couple hours later, drowned in a puddle by the side of the road, presumably because of how drunk he got. One of the fighters wished they had the money to get a better bow. A few hours later, about 40 more gold pieces showed up in his purse. Somehow, the party stopped for the night before entering ruins, and the next morning went in only to find that most of the traps up front were already disarmed, and a fair number of the guards up front were already dead, their throats slit or otherwise disposed of in one of the pits. That was a grisly scene. It took about 3 to 4 levels before the party realized what was really going on, and yes, my rogue was a slight bit crazy. He, in a way, thought himself a genie that was granting their unbidden desires. About 6th level, they told him they no longer needed his services, so he switched from a hidden ally to an evil bastard, sore from the betrayal by the ungrateful adventurers, and swore to make them pay unless they apologized. Then I handed the character sheet to the GM, who only had this evil grin on his face as the now villain disappeared into the shadows. One of the players right after that, OMG, what did we just do? We had a ball. My new character was a bounty hunter by necessity because we just needed those skills as a party, but in the end, my first PC became our party's final boss to fight, and he was a right bastard. Edit, I have to update this answer because someone else just grabbed the top spot. Mr. Edward Graves, CEO and failed scientist, ended up on his little moon base separate from humanity for complex reasons, but this only made him more dangerous, not less. The PCs have a standing mission to deal with the bastard, but he has the deck stacked almost from the start. 1. Dead Man Switch to kill all the innocent people on his base if he died, and indirectly cause the Earth itself to suffer a catastrophe of global proportions. 2. When threatened with being starved out, said they had plenty of animals to slaughter for food if needed. Note, he referred to all of his creations at the base as animals, those thinking, sentient people created through genetic manipulation. 4. Thinks nothing of showing off younger clones of said PCs and suggests they keep the supplies flowing or someone may suffer here. And if you think cannibalism of a people he created in the face of a supply embargo was nasty, that was just the appetizer. He's a full 7-course meal of evil. I played a character in D&D 5th edition, organized play I believe. There were a lot of players at the store, so there would be about 6 tables, all running the same adventure. It was completely evil. In an act of irony, I named him after the 2 sweetest, nicest, kindest people at my job at the time. I also decided that he wasn't stupid evil, he was neutral evil, which I did not know at the time wasn't allowed in organized play. Mea culpa. He was a lot of fun to play, until the bad session happened. So, being smart, he went the more flies with honey route. I told the other players about his being evil so as to not be that guy and surprise them, so they knew. He was always very polite and friendly. He never raised his voice, didn't threaten people. At one point, he diffused, using diplomacy and kindness, a combat that wasn't supposed to be avoidable. At this point, the fellow playing the lawful good paladin told me, "My character thinks your character is a paragon of lawful goodness." He loved the idea that his character thought this absolutely evil bastard was the nicest guy in the city. I had a lot of fun playing the character. His behavior was consistently really kind, generous, and friendly. He gave money to the poor, helped people because we should all help one another, and was generally a really likable guy. His motivations were always utterly selfish, and he was always one intractable problem away from bloody sociopathic murder. And then it happened. 3 of us got caught whilst up to no good with the town watch. The other 2 got knocked out, and we were definitely going to be interrogated by the town watch. They get these 2, they get closer to me, and that can't happen, I told the DM, channeling Mr. Pink from Reservoir Dogs. Sadly, the DM and I always had issues, before and after that, when I played in his games. Happily, we are friends, we just could never seem to work with him as DM and me as player. Shout out to him. I desperately begged him to let me find a way to knock out the watch, or kill them, or rescue my teammates, but he was having none of it. I don't think I made myself clear enough. While he wasn't listening closely enough, the game had started to stall, so he did the "no more discussion. What do? I slit both my teammates' throats and jump off the roof. The table just stopped. What? They cannot get captured, because if they talk, they ruin my reputation. Hate to do it, but they gotta go. The DM was so stunned, he just went with it. I hated doing it, but it was absolutely what my character, being evil, would have done, without hesitation. I felt terrible, and I was angry at the DM. Again, still friends with him for not understanding and giving me some way out. I haven't played an evil character since. 2 notable follow-ups. Unbeknownst to me, for the next 2 years or so, I had a reputation in the community for being that hardcore. Some people respected me for it. Some people thought less of me for it. I had no idea for over a year. One of the players whose character I killed, he and I were just starting to become friends at the time. That could have easily killed any chance of friendship. If anything, that game made us better friends, and we're friends to this day. That's the great part about gaming with adults. Salutations, evildoers, and thank you for assembling here until the very end of this video. If you'd like to share your most devious evil character with us, you may do so in the comments below. And if you have another story you'd like to share with us, you are welcome to do so on our official subreddit, r/MrRipper. If you're a DM or a player looking for a group, you may have some luck over at Mr. Ripper's Group Finder Discord server. And once again, please consider subscribing to Riptovia if you want more stories from us, as we have resolved to post our longer stories to that channel from now on. So if you have the attention span, we'd love to see you there, and no hard feelings if you don't, but please support us because we love you. Links in the description as always. This week, I hope you spend some time in quiet contemplation. If you love me and want me to be happy, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch at Dave Makes Noises. Thank you again for watching. Please sub for Nat20s. Ring the bell to join the early squad. We're so glad you've joined us today, and we'll see you next time.